If you want to know the difference between Medicare Advantage or original Medicare with a Medicare supplement plan, this case may mean everything to you. Hi, my name is 𝗲𝗄𝗿 𝗟𝗶𝗴. I'm going to tell you a brief story about what's happened to New York City retirees and how its impact and the discussion that's been going on with those retirees between the retirees and the city may have an impact on your decision as to whether you want to be ultimately with a Medicare Advantage plan or back with original Medicare. The city of New York City retirees, it sums over 350,000 people last told, and they were presented with a choice recently to either keep their original Medicare, which is original Medicare that they've earned their entire lives, with their Medicare supplement, which was provided at no cost by the city, to get rid of that and save the city money and go to a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, what's the difference? It would still cost them nothing in premium. What you're going to find out is what the retirees themselves did in research to find out for themselves which is better, a Medicare supplement with original Medicare or giving that up for a Medicare Advantage plan. Watch, here's the background on the story.
Public service workers in New York City are pushing back against the mayor's support of a Medicare plan for retirees. The New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees released a statement saying the city actually knows this is an inferior plan, which is why they are forcing retirees to pay thousands of dollars annually to opt out and keep their current insurance. Mayor Adams recently ordered his administration to move forward with the 𝗍𝗿𝗄𝗎 era plan. Adams says it will save city taxpayers $600 million a year while continuing to offer premium-free coverage.
So the goal here in New York City was to save money and give what the employees are calling inferior care. Now, there's been an update in this, but first, I want to share with you the article that comes from the city, an online magazine there. And it talks about the research that the employees and healthcare advocates have done on this particular issue. So look at this, and I've highlighted some parts. Retired New York City workers celebrate Medicare coverage switch court win. So the court has deemed that the city can't do this because they promised them, as has happened so many other times with General Electric, AT&T, FedEx, UPS, IBM, all the retirees were promised, if you give us a good lifetime of work, we then are going to go out there and give you free retiree health care for life. And then this happens. They come at them and say, well, first of all, we're going to save a lot of money on our end, but still keep your premiums free by putting you into a Medicare Advantage plan. Well, what could be wrong? Well, let's take a look at it. I've highlighted just some parts that may be of interest to you. So it says in here, it's also a victory for the group of retirees that sued to stop this switch from original Medicare with the supplement that they provided to a Medicare Advantage plan, citing fears of higher cost for the seniors in the way of co-payments, smaller networks, and greater administrative obstacles to accessing health care and preferred doctors under the new plan. That's the distinction there. Just a sideline real quick, if you go to Medicare.gov and you look at what your options are when you're coming to Medicare for the first time, you're going to see these two options. Original Medicare, which is what you earned all the working years of your life, or give that up and sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, the Medicare Advantage plan sales pitch is it's an all-in-one, here's the most important part, alternative. It's an alternative to original Medicare. These bundled plans include Part A, Part B, and usually Part D. That's an absolute outright lie. Why is it a lie? Because we know how these things are administered on a daily basis. And I'll just tell you, on Part A, for instance, on Medicare Part A, you can go to any hospital in the United States that takes Medicare. That's pretty much every single one of them. Under Part B of Medicare, you can go to any provider, any specialist, anywhere in the country that takes Part B. However, they're saying here that Medicare Advantage, and all the salespeople will tell you this. As a matter of fact, most new agent salespeople in the Medicare arena, I know this happens to be a fact, are not even sold or not even told about Medicare supplement and keeping the even option of keeping original Medicare. No, in fact, if you've met with a Medicare agent in the last 5 years, you've been presented with one choice, I'll guarantee you. That one choice is to give up original Medicare, which is your right that you earned, and go to a Medicare Advantage plan, completely abdicating all of your healthcare decisions to that plan. Well, what does that mean? It means that this right here is an absolute bold-faced lie, where they say that Medicare Advantage, these bundled plans include Part A, Part B, and Part D. The reality, see, is that they have to cover the same categories as Part A, Part B, and Part D. The same categories, which means, do we cover you going into a hospital? Yes. Do we cover you going into any hospital? No, absolutely not. On Part B, do we cover you going to a doctor? Because that's outpatient services covered under Medicare Part B. The answer is yes, they cover outpatient services. Then there's the sticky point. Which doctors can you get those services from? Which labs? Which x-rays? Which technicians? Which outpatient surgery centers can you go to? Oh, it's the same category, but it's a finite, smaller network. And in order to access that care, you have to get prior authorization in most all cases where it's going to cost the health plan money. So to say that these choices are equal is far from the truth. And yet, as I said, most agents today will only tell you about one category, and that's the Medicare Advantage. So I digress. This is from Original Medicare, and you can see that your option is to maintain Original Medicare. And down here, it just happens to say you can also add a Medicare supplement policy. By doing that, what it does is, and this is what all the sales agents of today are selling against, Original Medicare is great, but it's got holes in it. It's got a massive Part A deductible when you go in the hospital. Well, a supplement solves that. It's got 20% co-insurance if you go outside of the hospital for outpatient services and doctors and outpatient surgery and those kind of things. Well, a supplement can take care of that. And yet, why is it that agents today are being incentivized, paid more money not to tell you about that? Well, let's look at New York City and see this small sample, how it may affect you and your decision. So the article says this court case is a victory for the retirees who sued to stop this. And it says the city had planned to force retirees to enter the new privately administered Retiree Health Alliance, otherwise known as Medicare Advantage Plan, or pay $191 per person per month to maintain their current coverage, which is a Medicare supplement, along with Original Medicare. Any doctor in the country, any hospital in the country, no prior authorizations needed, no referrals needed, and all the rest. Complete and utter freedom, which is what they had before this. And now it's being taken away. The judge said, no, you can't do that. Retirees currently receive their insurance package, traditional Medicare plus a supplemental program for treatments not covered by Medicare free of charge. That, my friends, is a benefit. They're saying this would definitely hurt those seniors that earn less than $15,000 a year because they want to keep their original Medicare once they looked into what this free healthcare plan is. The judge's order said that as long as a retiree's current healthcare program, known as GHI Senior Care, continues to exist as an option, it must be offered to retirees free of charge in New York. So they win. Look at the highlights that I put here. Obstacles to care. This is what they're concerned about. This is what all the hullabaloo is about. For nearly a year since the details of the new medical plan became public, retirees have voiced skepticism that it will provide benefits equal to what they currently receive, while still saving taxpayers a promise of $600 million annually. Nearly all Medicare Advantage plans include fewer doctors than traditional Medicare does. The city has repeatedly claimed that the Alliance's plan will enable retirees to see any doctor that accepts Original Medicare, which the vast majority of doctors do. But retirees cast doubt on this claim, as well they should, giving testimony at hearings and submitting affidavits in state court saying that their doctors told them that they're not going to be participating in this plan, and they have no idea what the heck it is. The new plan will also make it more difficult for retirees to access many treatments. Here it is, folks. Here's how they get you that Medicare Advantage plan for free. Under Medicare Advantage, healthcare providers will have to get approval, known as prior authorization, which you should really search my channel and see the studies we've shown, the stories and the testimonials from doctors talking about how dangerous and horrible prior authorization is for you to get treatment, especially if you're sick and you need it right now or you're in pain. So the new plan is going to have prior authorizations. approval in advance from insurance companies before conducting dozens of procedures or treatments, including some doctor's office visits, mental health care treatments, home health care services, and tests such as x-rays, blood work, legal documents show. So the documents, that's the small print, actually shows this is the case, and that's the same case with every Medicare Advantage plan, quote unquote Advantage. Under the current Medicare, that's original Medicare, folks, this kind of prior authorization is what it is. This kind of pre-approval is only required for a very limited number of treatments, such as transplants and physician-administered drugs. Most treatments do not require any pre-approval at all. So they're very grateful that they don't have to pay $191 a month to stay on their original Medicare with a Medicare supplement. The retiree's victory may be a temporary one. Under the Georgia judge's order, the city has the right to drop their Medicare supplement plan and force all retirees onto the fully private Medicare Advantage plan in the future. That, my friends, is the problem. The city can just merely say it's no longer available because the judge said if it's available, you have to offer it to them. Now the city's saying it may not be available, and then it's gone. Cohen said that any moves to eliminate senior care would be the subject of negotiation between the city and the union. Yeah, right. They're very concerned about that. The judge's December order required that the city to extend a period that retirees are permitted to opt out of Medicare Advantage through June 30th, a position that he reaffirmed in this order. 47,000 retirees have already opted out of the new plan, Fortune reported an earlier week. The plan's rollout has been marred by, here it is, and this is what most seniors report about Medicare and what they're being told of their options, confusion and inaccuracies. Confusion and inaccuracies. Last fall, the city mailed retirees plan enrollment guides that contain false information on key aspects of the new plan. It's funny, last year, 2020, a Kaiser Permanente study showed that an unbelievable amount of provider directories sent out by Medicare Advantage plans were inaccurate by the time the paper was dry, because networks with Medicare Advantage plans change all the time because they're allowed to. You can't change the plan once you're on it for a year, but the plan itself can change their providers anytime they see fit. The city initially refused to mail retirees a corrected version of their guide, citing an estimated $825,000 cost and a, quote, global paper shortage. In his December order, Frank required the city to mail corrections to all retirees who had received the inaccurate enrollment guides. Francisco, a retired paramedic, said Thursday's ruling means a lot to him. I don't want to be told that I need to get permission to go to a doctor, to have a referral, to get an MRI done, to be told by an insurance company, well, do you really need that? That is the point. That is the world of Medicare Advantage. Look, we help seniors with their Medicare insurance from coast to coast. My office, we have 15 agents in the other room. We enroll people on Medicare insurance to go along with their original Medicare. We help people from Virginia to Alaska and Hawaii and California, everywhere in between. And if you want a Medicare Advantage plan, by golly, we'll sell you one. We'll help you find the best one that fits your needs particularly. But we're also going to be honest and tell you there are two completely different choices. And we'll show you what those choices are. And it's right there on the Medicare and You guidebook. You've got original Medicare, which is what you've earned and paid into your entire life. And you should maybe take advantage of the fact that you can go any doctor, any hospital, without referrals, without prior authorization that doctors hate, and just get something done if you need it done. That's what you've been earning your entire life. Or you can do Medicare Advantage Plan, which according to the latest statistics, 42% of the people are opting for the free plan. And agent after agent has told me when they come from the Advantage world, those plans are absolutely wonderful as long as you stay healthy. And if you do continue to stay healthy your entire life, if your crystal ball is working like a champ, then absolutely don't pay for health insurance that you don't need. Don't pay for freedom and flexibility that you may never need to use. Just go inside the network and do what they tell you to do. That's completely your choice. My point is we help people with both. This guy has it absolutely right. The paramedic who says he does not want permission to have to go to see a doctor, to get a referral, and then be told by an insurance company that they want to do prior authorization just to see if he absolutely really needs that expensive treatment. So for fire department retiree John Gilleney, The whole saga has a moral. Quote, I'd like to say that the statement that you can't beat City Hall is untrue. So here's the latest on what's happened with this, and pay close attention to the impact on the seniors.
Your victory tonight for 250,000 retired New York City employees who fought City Hall. A Manhattan judge struck down the city's plan to alter their health benefits and make them pay to keep the insurance they were promised for life. CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer first exposed the city's efforts last year.
A handful of retired city workers stood outside the gates of City Hall to bask in the glow of a hard-won 𝗍𝗿𝗄𝗏 victory over former Mayor Bill de Blasio and his successor, Eric Adams.
You know, there's an expression that you can't fight City Hall. They did, and they won.
Steve Cohen, the retiree's lawyer, referring to a decision by Manhattan Supreme Court Judge Lyle Frank that prevents the city from pulling a bait and switch with the health insurance of 250,000 retirees. The city wanted to switch them to a less expensive program or force them to pay nearly $1,200 a year to keep their old insurance. The judge said that while the city could offer the less expensive program, it couldn't charge people to stay in the old program because they were promised health benefits for life. In his ruling, the judge said the city, quote, is permanently enjoined from passing along any cost of the New York City retirees' current plan to the retirees.
New York City cannot take away their health insurance in retirement. They are allowed to keep the subsidy that the city has paid for the last 40 years and keep their doctors and the medical care that they've earned over their many years of service.
When CBS 2 first broke the story, we told you about the difficult choice faced by people like former NYCHA employee Bill Shenton and his wife Susan, who told us they would be forced to pay money they can ill afford to stay in the old plan because the new one would cover only a fraction of the medicine Susan takes for chronic lung disease. One drug alone costs $130,000 a year.
I feel that it's a betrayal. We were promised that this was going to be for life, that we'd have the same insurance that we had when we were working, and it would cover our families.
We are so grateful that we will not have the $192 penalty every month, which we cannot afford.
Good quality, free medical insurance is a human right for everyone.
The retirees called on Mayor Adams not to appeal the judge's ruling, but it's not clear what the city will do. A spokesman for the mayor saying the city is reviewing the decision and, quote, evaluating our options. In the newsroom, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.
And Marcia says in a surprise announcement, the teachers union, which had enthusiastically supported moving retirees to a new, less expensive plan, withdrew its support for the move. UFT President Michael Mulgrew called on the Municipal Labor Council to suspend efforts to start the new program until all implementation and legal issues are resolved.
So again, if you've got the choice and you're facing what you're going to do with Medicare, Medicare Advantage, or Medicare Supplement, understand that you have one chance to get this right. Why do I say that? In most all states in the country, you have to qualify medically with health questions on a Medicare Supplement to get a Medicare Supplement. That means to go back to original Medicare, where there are no networks, there's no restriction, there's no prior authorization needed, no referrals needed. You either get that when you're first eligible for Medicare, and by the way, most agents don't know this, but you have a 6-month window from the time your Part B becomes effective or you turn 65. 6 months later, all that period of time, you can sign up for a Medicare supplement plan to supplement original Medicare with no health questions whatever. That's your initial election period. Now, on Medicare Advantage, you have a different window, and it's kind of weird. You have the month that you turn 65 or become eligible for Medicare, and then 3 months later. It's a shorter window for Medicare Advantage and for Part D drug plans. But Medicare Supplement, yes, and many agents always take me to task for this, and I'll always show them the law. Medicare Supplements give you a 6-month window, not a 3-month window like Medicare Advantage. But I want to show you one more thing here, and this is why our employers and retiree systems like New York City, why are they continuing to do this? Why are they taking away original Medicare and Medicare Supplement, or what they've had as their retiree benefits, and now replacing that with Medicare Advantage? Why? Because the government is incentivizing them to do so. It says private and public employers are increasingly using the government's Medicare Advantage program as an alternative to what they had before. As a result, the federal government is paying an overwhelming majority of the medical cost, according to an industry analyst. Experts say that this arrangement often saves the employer money because the federal payment reduces the employer's share of the cost. Well, that's great, but the employer's the one that promised that they were going to pay this cost for the lifetime of the employee. Oh, well, they changed that, didn't they? Scores of private and public employers are now offering Medicare Advantage plans, yet the details, the cost of taxpayers, is largely hidden because the Federal Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, that's otherwise known as CMS, is not party to the negotiations among the insurers and employers. They're not even a part of that. Well, how can that be? It's pretty strange. Employer-sponsored plans receive billions of dollars in federal payments, but they also get something that other Medicare Advantage insurers, that's on the shelf, normal ones you can buy in the marketplace, don't get. Automatic exemptions to some requirements that apply to the policies available to individual members. Plans can set their own enrollment deadlines, send members information without prior CMS approval for accuracy. We just saw that happened in New York, didn't we? And follow weaker requirements for provider networks, among other things. So if your employer then is offering you a Medicare Advantage plan and it's branded as subsidized by your employer and in conjunction with an insurance company, you may want to be very well concerned as to what exemptions that they followed that get them outside the rules of even original Medicare Advantage, which already has enough restrictions in it to make a scared person even more worried. But beyond that, the restrictions are even more, or could be, on an employer-sponsored plan because there's less scrutiny. And look at this part right here. Make this full. With each Advantage member, the government spends 4% more. This is just regular Medicare Advantage. They spend 4% more than Medicare does for somebody on the traditional fee-for-service program. In 2019, CMS paid the plans, the Medicare Advantage plan, $7 billion more than the cost of caring for those beneficiaries. $7 billion. How is that a good deal for the taxpayer? And then when you're on those plans, you're paying massive amounts of copays. Again, with the restrictions in the network, that goes without saying. And then you have to hit this max out of pocket, which again resets every January 1st. According to the study from the Kaiser Family Foundation, they found this $7 billion in overpayments. Much of that difference comes when the insurer's reimbursements are increased by Medicare to account for services for sicker patients. That's called upcoding fraud that are either not provided or not necessary. A recent investigation by the Inspector General for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found that this practice resulted in overpayments of $6.7 billion in 2017. So it's not saving anybody money. It's just restricting care and going straight into the hands of private insurance companies. How is that good for anybody? The exemptions to Medicare Advantage rules granted to these retiree plans are intended to make it easy for employers to make the switch. Isn't that nice of your government? Let's make it easy for the employers, these huge employers then, to get out of their obligation that they said that they've had. They've acknowledged that they've had. They made these commitments again for years. I've got a tape from like 1950 from General Electric telling their people that they're going to always take care of their retiree health plan. That's going to take care of them for the rest of their life. And then, yep, you got a choice. Here it is, Medicare Advantage or nothing. For example, it says a provision of federal law allows Medicare officials to waive or modify requirements that hinder employer-sponsored Advantage plans. For example, provider network requirements are watered down for the employer plans, which means finding a doctor who participates in the plan may be more difficult for members, explained David Lipschitz, Associate Director of the Center for Medicare Advocacy. So that's what we want to do. We want to make it harder for people to get health care. We want to make it more expensive, more restrictive networks, and by all means, give the retiree divisions of these companies a way out so they don't have to keep their obligations to retirees. But again, the purpose of me making this video is not only because I'm the only one on the internet doing it, and I think it's important that you know the difference. Again, there's my phone number right over there. We'll help you with your Medicare insurance, no matter which way you want to go. Completely unbiased. Help you with a Medicare Advantage plan, but we're going to put you in the best one that might suit you and try to give you one that gives you as much choice as humanly possible in that regime. But my gosh, You've got this choice, especially if you're new to Medicare. You have this choice again every year during the annual enrollment period, again, assuming that you can health qualify. I have a friend who says your option to upgrade to a Medicare supplement plan is greatly limited once you're outside of your initial election period. So your option to upgrade means these are your choices right here. If you give up the option to get a Medicare supplement in the green, later on, if a chronic illness or, God forbid, a heart attack, stroke, cancer, something major happens, and then you're outside of that initial election period, you may forever and ever be banned from getting a Medicare supplement or not available to get one for yourself. Now, we have certain states like Washington State has open enrollment year-round. Wonderful, fantastic, that's great. New York State has an option that if you already have, or you can get a plan anytime with no health underwriting whatsoever, but they still have the option of having pre-existing condition limitations. That is, if you had no supplemental coverage before you came there, no individual plan, no health insurance from former employer, and you have a gap in coverage of 62 days or more than that, then yes, they could exclude something from coverage. So the best time to get one of these plans, and even says in the Medicare book, best time to get a plan is when you're brand new to Medicare, to pick one of these which ways to go. Now, let me give you a little scenario here behind the scenes on how this really works. You have original Medicare and get a supplement. You have Medicare Advantage. One of those two is completely no charge to you, and you can sign up for it anytime you want. Any year that you want to during the annual election period, you can sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. They'll take you. No questions asked. They have to take you. They'll take you for everything. Then you've got the restrictions. They're looking over your shoulder. They're making sure you get prior authorization and that you really, really, really need to have something done. And they tell you what you're going to have done or not. You can get that plan any year that you want to. Guess when you can get a Medicare supplement plan? 2 times. One, when you're newly eligible for Medicare, that's your golden ticket. 2, if you can qualify through health underwriting. I made a website to make it real easy to understand if you qualify for underwriting or not. And it kind of goes through the majority of the health questions that are out there. And it's called seniorsavingsnetwork.org. And if you type in that / and do underwritten. So people ask us all the time, they'll see our information out there and they'll be like, you know what? I've been putting this off. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with Medicare, but now I think I really should get a Medicare supplement plan to patch the holes of original Medicare. They want to keep that freedom. How do I know if I can qualify? And I'm not brand new to Medicare. I'm not turning 65. I'm not brand new to it. Can I qualify or not? Well, that website will give you a really good indication as to whether you can or not. And yes, I put information out there for free. The question is, how do you get paid? Everybody wants to know, Chris, how do you get paid? Well, I'll tell you, it's so funny. Everybody always asks these things. And so I make like a website to a video to answer the questions of what people are asking all the time. And if you go to howdoyougetpaid.com, I'm not even kidding, howdoyougetpaid.com, you will see how I get paid. Watch this. How do you get paid.com. And it's not anything majorly curious. It's how does your life insurance agent get paid? It's built into the premium already. If you went straight to AIG or Mutual of Omaha and you bought a policy from them directly, there was commission built in there. Whether you wanted to have an agent service your policy and be accountable to you or not, there's commission built into the premium, and the premium does not change whether or not you went through an agent or not. So just like your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance, they all have commission built into the state approved rates. Same is true with Medicare supplement plans. The commission's already built in. So if you call AARP directly and you sign up for a plan K, like so many people do, or plan L, which nobody would ever buy if they knew what that is and they didn't get their insurance license, so they just don't know. They get this some direct to consumer, direct to the person mail piece, and they're like, that looks like a good plan. That's kind of cheap. They get that plan not even knowing what they have. Worse, they have nobody to service that plan if they have questions on claims in the future. So whether you went direct to an insurance company or you hired an agent like me, it doesn't cost you anything different. You don't pay for our service. It's all included in the rate. So that's how we work for free. And then if you are considering what your choices are when you're brand new to Medicare, if you're going to be turning 65 in the next year, we can look at this for you. We can tell you exactly what the rates will be 6 months prior to your effective date and put you on our calendar to get you signed up for that. We can show you the Medicare Advantage plans available to you, the Part D drug plans, all those things we can do. And you can get on our calendar very easily. You know, a lot of people will want to call all at one time. I don't know how this works, but I don't know if it's the internet traffic or phones or whatever, but people they want to call at the same time. And when you have a finite number of people, we don't run a massive call center. So we have a small agency that helps people one-on-one. We get to know you. We want to know all about you. Sometimes when everybody calls at one time, it may go to a voicemail. And then we call you back and you may not recognize the number. So you may let that go to the voicemail. Then you call us back and you may not catch it. So we made a system with this enrollment link. You can go right to our calendar and book a time that's good for you. And we don't miss those times. So it saves your time. It saves our time. We're not chasing each other, and you can get right on our calendar. Same thing is true with the underwritten thing. If you're already on Medicare or you're beyond 65 and you're not coming on to Part B for the first time, like if you're working a long time, this is a very common question we get. I've worked till the age of 70. I never started Medicare because I didn't need to. I had employer benefits. Great, good for you. When you trigger that Part B, and we can help you figure out when to do that, when you trigger your Part B, then you get this open enrollment period all over again, just as if you were brand new turning into Medicare for the first time. Let's see, I made another website for that. 𝗏𝑡ostartmedicare.com. Pretty neat one. 𝗏𝑡ostartmedicare.com. I'll give you a little tip too. Let's see, go to how to start Medicare. That's if you want to learn how to start your Part B later. When and how to get your Part D drug plan, which you can do through our help or through anybody else. But that'll kind of give you a good guide. Most people, I just talked to an agent yesterday. I said, what's your website? I was helping him with his own marketing. And he said, well, go to www. You can skip all that, you know. You can skip the www thing and just go straight to any domain that you want. But my name is Chris Westphal. Thanks so much for watching. If there's anything we can do to help you along your path for Medicare, whether you've got something that you like, that's wonderful. Or if you want to look at the market and see if there's something that can either save you money or get you on a better plan, please reach out to my office. We'd be glad to help you. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.